Hi there. Going to try something a little bit different this month and do an update uh, in the medium of a video. Advantage of that is I can show you a few things and perhaps it's a bit easier to follow and tell you some of the things we've been working on of late. So um, hopefully you've seen these icons up here that you're used to as a kind of quick access to our main three overview templates: recall, pathology, prescribing. If you've not signed up for some of the modules, they won't appear there. But the ones you've got will be. We've also added on this one, which is questionnaires template. This is particularly useful if you get patients phoning up because you might have texted them a questionnaire, they struggle with a link, and you want to then complete it. So here you can see the questionnaires that need completing. You can right click and action those and do those with the patient on the phone. You can see completed answers. On the right hand side, we've started working on this where you've got three options for each questionnaire. Let's pick the alcohol one, perhaps. So you can either answer it there and then. You've got a preset message, which has both got a very brief blurb, adds the appropriate code, and sends the questionnaire. And then we've also done printed versions that you could either put in the post or print out and give to patients. Unlikely to be worth it for just asking the alcohol intake, perhaps more useful for some of these other things. Some elements are grayed out. So, for example, if a patient doesn't have heart failure, all of this line will be grayed out because you don't want to code accidentally the New York Heart Association scale and accidentally put them in your heart failure register. We've also been doing a lot of work about medication reviews and templates. And again, because this patient isn't on these medications, they're not appearing. But yeah, the relevant ones will appear. I'll come back to that in a little bit. On the recall overview itself, we continue to develop this and put a bit more information in. This test patient doesn't have some of the things that we've done, but we've highlighted where sometimes the the OBS that are needed are to aid the interpretation of the blood test themselves, and put a bit more narrative in there. On the manage recall page, we've got a few more options if you need to exclude patients from weight monitoring or urine samples. We've got the place of care for high-risk drugs. We've changed a little bit how that works, just so that if patients are under secondary care for, say, methotrexate, they still get invited for everything else as normal. Moving on to invites and some of that side of the system, I'll just show you a bit of that. So this page is getting slightly long, to put it mildly, but you don't need to use all of it, obviously. We've started to add in some questionnaires that you might send to patients prior to their invite. So some of you have flagged that you might have a patient who needs, for example, bloods and OBS, but actually the OBS might be ones that they can do remotely. So we've started to put in these that can be sent prior to the main invites. As part of our prescribing module, and for specific conditions, medications, we've got particular questionnaires. So one for SSRIs, one for patients on epileptic medication, HRT, vaginal estrogen HRT. Pill checks will be coming soon. Again, those can be sent prior to the main invite. And if, for example, that's the only review they need and their answer suggests everything's fine, that would kind of tick that review off. Or more likely it would drop into report either just to someone to eyeball the answers and code like HRT review done, or to identify they need to come in and see someone. We've been working more on the different kinds of appointment links that you can use. And what we've also done is publish these links ourselves, our own versions of them. So if you want to set them up to work with our system, they've all got a full stop at the end, the ones that we've done. You can add those in. That does also potentially mean that our protocols can kind of link in with those things and auto send links and things for you. We've done some more work, and we are in the process of doing some more work for follow-up invites. So one thing that some practices do, it might be that, for example, learning disability health checks, you might be inviting completely separately to your main invite. So these reports are based on specific conditions that need an invite, and there's a code for a verbal invite if you want to call and book them. Obviously, you could write to them. And that's broken down again into selected birth months, or if you want to work ahead, you've got all birth months. We're also working on a new section here. These are for patients who have had some reviews completed, but not all, and they've got nothing else booked. We will also soon have links available here to send specific invites out, or for some of you who you might direct patients to go and have their blood somewhere else, and you may well find that people don't always then book the next bit. So those patients would drop in here, and again, you could text them with either generic "contact us to book the next steps," or the links will be available to send specific things. Home visits are on here. Again, this is broken down into more sections. Apologies that it might be a bit overwhelming, but you've basically got, again, QOF and best practice, all housebound care home, and then starting to split down into different categories. What you may well find helpful is to identify the ones that you need to use a lot of the time, and then use the favorite icon, which looks like a recycling icon, to add them to your favorites, and then you can easily find them in the future. We've also done some work around the monitoring invites. So a number of things here. You may find that patients have got appointments booked with you, but they're still being invited. Each section now has this report: review, may have appointment booked for monitoring, breakdown for details. If you can tell from that appointment details, such as, I don't know, it might be that it's a phlebotomist appointment, for example, or it's with a HCA and it's in the morning before your blood collection, it's for the monitoring. You could add those two codes, and those patients would then drop out of the invite reports the next day. A number of you have fed back that the numbers in these reports are pretty big and high. That's not unusual when you start with this system, because it will pick up all sorts of things that patients need, and gradually you'll find yourselves getting on top of it. But if you have particular things that you want to focus on, then we can configure for you your own local priorities. So just to show you the kind of things that are in there already, if you want them, you can have the one-off requests that you might be using, things like antihypertensives that are started, thyroxine. Once that's started, that will now be automatically picked up for monitoring. So it might be that you've got particular concerns as a practice or enhanced services. You tell us which of these that you'd like including, or any others that you want. We configure it for you, and then this section becomes kind of your own tailored setup for invites that you want to prioritize. One other part of the localization folders you'll now see is a new automation section. There's a limit to what automation that can be done in System 1, but there is a fair bit. So, for example, we've got a protocol that will calculate the Cockcroft Galt following a UNE for a patient on a DOAC. If you tell us you want those things to start to run in the background, we can add you in, and then when you're on the record, those calculations will be done. There's a few things in this particular module. The pathology module's got a lot more in there, because we can auto send all sorts of messages like your lipids are satisfactory, or you need statin dose increase. We can also do some funky calculations like KFRE, or more simple ones like BMI. At the Welby group, where we've developed a lot of this stuff, we've been using lots of these automations in the background for some time, and it is really effective at keeping on top of work and making sure that patients get told about their results or sent questionnaires as soon as they need them. A couple more brief things, and then I will be leaving you in peace. On the request test template, we've split down the gonadotrophin bloods, so you can either pick that and that will cover all three, or you can pick individual ones, same way that hematinics works. Also added on magnesium, and then in the test for regular monitoring, a few new things in here. You can now say if you want the TSH to include a T4 every time. You can, if appropriate, say that the patient needs DMARD monitoring for a particular frequency. I think that was only if the patient's actually got some kind of DMARD medication on repeat. What we're planning to move towards is, rather than the system working out how long have they been on it and what frequency of monitoring do they need, that it would default to the normal monitoring frequency for shared care drugs. That's mainly because lots of you have told us generally patients aren't discharged from hospital unless they're already on that regime. Sorry, I've realised that the reason it wasn't showing that was because of the frequency I had. So if I pick monthly, it might be that you could say that I want them to be on monthly monitoring, and then in, I don't know, 6 months' time, that can stop. You wouldn't stop it completely. All it would do is then just revert to the standard monitoring. Or the other thing you can do now is you could then say, well, actually, in 6 months' time, I want it to move up to 3 monthly monitoring. Don't need to do anything else. Those codes, as long as the dates all line up, we'll sort it out. Similarly, we've put in MGUS monitoring, and that can be done for 3, 6, or 12 monthly. I could go on quite clearly. There's always more that's going into the system. We're working on it all the time. Really appreciate the feedback you guys are giving us. If there's other things you think that would be useful, do let us know. We've got lots in the pipeline that we'll keep you updated about. More generally, to try and improve the service we provide and push more work towards the patients where they're able to do that for us. If also you're not using all the modules and you're interested in the others, do get in touch. Very happy to show you more. Just remember one last thing to show you. Our help and support page is gradually growing. We've done playlists for different modules. So if, for example, you've got a new receptionist who's just joined your practice, this playlist here would give them the kind of key intros to what they need. At the risk of sounding like Mr. Beast, please do like and subscribe to our YouTube channel and you'll get updates. If you don't get the email updates, which perhaps has led you to this video, you can click on this one and it will take you or your staff to a form where you can sign up. I really will stop now. Do get in touch, let us know how you're getting on, and we'll doubtless update you again soon. Thanks.